In the oceans of Allah's rahmah, when that person begins to go down, Allah's not going to let them to drown, to be completely dead. If Allah wanted you dead, you'd be dead. But the fear of your death is what Allah wants you to overcome. Stop holding on, let go down. And then Allah brings out the whales. The whales are the big awliyaullah who are insana kamil. Their soul, they operate from their soul. As soon as they come into association, they take everyone's soul into their being. They don't operate from their body. The one whom has ijazah is not the same as somebody else doing something. The one whom Allah has given an ijazah, Prophet has given an ijazah, they operate from their soul, not from their body. As soon as these associations begin, their soul comes out and takes everybody within their soul and move in the blink of an eye into the presence of Prophet. They're not waiting for you to lift yourself up. If it was like that, nobody would get anywhere with anything. But they operate from their ruh, from their soul, because they reverse their contract. Maut qabla al-maut, that servant when he's going down in that ocean means through their whole spiritual life and what Allah trained them in their life, they died. In the state of their death, their soul came out. And Allah asked them in their seclusions, many of them have had many seclusions, ask them, do you want to come back to us? You can die, your family will come and take you from this maqam that you died in your seclusion. But what Allah needs my death or our death for, He says, why you don't be of service? Now that you're at that reality, be of service to the nation of Sayyidina Muhammad. So all of them choose to be of service to Prophet, not to die and go back and do what? The nation of Prophet is in need. So it means that now they operate with their soul over their body, not their soul inside their body. The soul is outside of their body. Every association they're like a whale. Every association they pick up everything, all the souls of people, and they move them into that Divinely Presence and cast them upon the shore of Allah's najat and relief. They take people from their dunya station towards their paradise reality. This reality of the two noons is our whole life. Our whole life is about opening these two noons within our insan. When the two noons, because there's a noon and a seen in the middle. That seen is the sir, the secret. That seen is the seen from Sayyidina Muhammad of Yasin. They want the sir and the secret of all realities. It's ilmu yaqeen, aynul yaqeen, haqq yaqeen. Allah want to dress that servant from that reality. But they have to ignite these two noons. This noon closest to the alif is the nar, is the fire, is the shams. The noon on the outside that you're approaching from the left to the right is the qamar and the nur. So it means that every insan has a sun and a moon inside them. And that's why Allah continuously teaches us shamsi wal qamar, shamsi wal qamar. Our life is about opening these two lights. How to bring out that reality of the heart that has to be a fire, has to be a fire for the love of Divinely Presence. Our life is about, Ya Rabbi, how am I going to spark the fire in my heart for it to become like a sun? And that becomes all the awrah, the zikrs and all the practices. All their focus and their nazar is upon their heart, how to perfect their heart, how to ignite their heart, how their heart can become like stars on a dark night, in which Prophet described his companions. My companions, my sahabi, they're like a najm, like a star. Any one of them you follow, you'll be guided. Why? Because their heart is lit, their heart is alive. When their heart is lit, their sun, because everyone has a galaxy. Allah gave you the 11 organs or 11 planets, gave you a heart which is a sun. If that sun is not operating, none of your being is operating correctly. Could you imagine our galaxy without the sun? When you study all the importance of the sun, the light, the photosynthesis, your breath, your food, everything coming from the reality of that shams. And Allah said, if you want to inherit managing my kingdom, why you not manage your own kingdom? Make sure your heart is lit. If your heart becomes lit and becomes on fire and is filled with divine love, divine ishq, and they spark. The moment you spark, you're going to start feeling yourself heating up. Your whole backside heats up, your hands heat up. Every zikr and every association you're heating up and sweating. Means they're sparking your flame, sparking your flame, sparking so that your heart become like a shams. If that heart become like a shams, that nar of your insan has been lit. If the nar of the insan becomes lit, because nar in your nat is a diya. Diya is different than nur. Diya is the source, is a fire. The star is a source, the moon and nur is a reflection of your diya. The star and the fire is the source of the light, the nur is the reflection that comes to the moon. You don't want to live a life of only light reflecting upon you, means you take tabarak, tabarak, tabarak and just blessing come to you. But what Allah wanted is accompany them, they'll light your heart. If your heart becomes lit and what they call catching fire, you become a heated person. Every association you heat up, your heart is active and is burning. If that state is accomplished, they begin to train you, empty your head. That's why it's so important when you accompany them. Holy Qur'an described in Surah 18, it was so important that this is not an interpretation of spiritual interpretation. People sometimes say, oh yeah, you guys have like really interesting interpretation. But actually Surah Al-Kahf, Allah is very clear that accompany and don't ask me a single question. But Sayyidina Khidr is telling Nabi Musa, who's Kalimullah, a station so high that can't be imagined, talking to Allah, and the first rule Sayyidina Khidr says, don't ask me a single question, because you're not going to have patience on something your knowledge is not maybe knowing on this subject. You're going to terrorize me with questions. It's so important for Allah that He put it in Holy Qur'an. Right in the surah, and the Surah 18 is the whole surah of Marifah. It is the foundation of the way of reality and accompanying these servants of reality. So that the teaching, this qamar and this head of ours is not your sunshine. The head is not the sun. Shaitan comes to make the head the sun, where do all your thinking process, do all your questioning from your head, do all of your debating and thinking you're going to understand Allah from here. So all of their universities, they teach the worst of adab so that they can bring and produce the worst of Allah's servants. Right? The university then teach you to argue with your professor. They find pleasure in debating the professor, finding a problem in what the professor said. This is the worst of manners for Allah. You will note, this dunya is based on, and especially in these areas, is to bring a child of purity, teach them lies all their life. When they're old enough to read and educate them, send them into a school, teach them to debate the teacher. This was all against Allah. Allah was bring the child into purity, he's born pure. Raise them on truth, never on false, never on lies, say this and this and this, these lies. Teach the children based on truth, and then when they're old enough to be educated, teach them on adab.